Test 1, 2, test.
Okay, welcome to the September 6th West Perth Council meeting. Um, and as we call this meeting to order, I'm going to ask that we have a moment of reflection. And I would certainly like everybody to remember former councillor Darrell Signer, who was on council, I believe, for about 6 years, 2000 to 2006, and certainly has passed away at a rather young age. And I think we should remember him and the Rose family and the Signer family in our thoughts. Okay. The first item on the agenda then is confirmation of the agenda. Do we have a mover and seconder to confirm the agenda as it was sent out? Moved by Councillor Rose, seconded by Councillor Murray. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Has anybody got a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda tonight? If you find that you are in a conflict as we go through the meeting, you can always declare it at that time. So the consent agenda is there. There's actually 3 items there. Is there anything there that anybody would like further details on or would like it pulled and dealt with separately? Don't see any hands going up. So then a motion that we accept the consent agenda would be in order. We have a mover and seconder, Councillor Vink and Councillor Duck. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Okay, it brings us down to reports, and the first item is from the planning department, and it's an application for consent to sever by Hannon Holdings. And I believe, if I pull it up here, that Louisa Bacondio is going to be walking us through this one on behalf of the county. So Louisa, I don't see, yes, I do see you now. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie. I will just share my screen here if I can do that. Oh, not yet. I just wanted to put the figure up if that's possible.
We're having a few technical
okay.
issues here, so.
Well, maybe I'll hold off. I can go through, and once that's possible, I'll
You
do
can
that.
go now. I believe you can go now.
There we go. Perfect.
I don't see anything.
There we go. Is that visible now?
Yep, we're good now. Thanks.
Excellent. Great. Excellent. So yes, this application is for a consent application on behalf of submitted by Hannon Holdings Inc. So the owners of these lands, Hannon Holdings, the lands are at 6736 line 36. They've submitted this consent application for a surplus farm dwelling severance on an existing agricultural lot with an area of 54 hectares. As you can see here, this is the sort of entirety of the lot. And then we have a detailed view here of sort of where the proposed severance lines would be for that surplus farm dwelling severance. Subject property contains one single detached dwelling, you can see here, with a few additions, as well as 3 large steel-clad sheds. And there's also some minor accessory structures, so a block shed here, a pool shed here, a pool, that sort of thing. An electrical contracting business currently operates out of the portion of the large steel-clad sheds there. This business was established a number of years ago with approximately 18 employees. As part of this application, however, this business will be relocated away from the subject lands, and confirmation of this relocation of the business will be required as a condition of this consent. The proposed severed residential lot would have an area of approximately 1.1 hectares and would contain the existing single detached dwelling and 2 of the steel-clad sheds, as you can see there. And the retained agricultural parcel would have an approximate area of 52.9, I might be mistaken, but 54 actually. I got my numbers mixed up. So it'll be 1.1 hectares for the severed residential parcel and 54 hectares for the retained agricultural parcel, and would contain 1 of those steel-clad sheds, this larger L-shaped one. With regards to the policy, the proposed surplus farm dwelling severance is in line with the policies of the Provincial Policy Statement, PPS 2020, specifically section 2.3.4C, which permits these types of surplus farm severances, provided that the new lots are limited in size and the minimum required to accommodate the use and appropriate sewage and water services and the like, and that any new residential dwellings are prohibited on the remnant farmland. The proposed severance also complies with the policies of the county official plan related to surplus farm dwelling severances. Some of these policies include providing confirmation that the dwelling is in fact surplus to the needs of the consolidated farm operation, that common ownership represents the majority share of both the home farm and the surplus farm, that the owner of both these properties is engaged in the business of agriculture and has a valid farm business registration number, that the surplus farm dwelling is habitable and is a minimum of 10 years old, that the residential lot is limited in size and doesn't take any additional prime agricultural land more than what is needed, appropriate lot, that the applicable provisions of MDS are met from the retained farm lot. In this case, there is no livestock use, so that does not apply, and that a zoning bylaw amendment is to be implemented for both the retained and severed lots in order to prohibit any new permanent residential dwellings on the retained portion and in order to regulate the permitted residential uses on the surplus farm lot. So, summary, this proposed severance is consistent with the policies of the 2020 PPS and conforms to the applicable policies of the county official plan, subject to these recommended conditions of approval. In accordance with the County of Perth official plan, as I previously stated, both these lots will have to be rezoned as a condition of the consent in order to regulate the uses on both the retained and severed surplus farm lot. Some other conditions of approval that staff are recommending that the applicant would need to satisfy would include obtaining a change of use permit for a steel-clad shed, this one here actually to the north of the dwelling, which has a portion that used to contain a former swine operation. So that change of use permit would confirm that in fact that use is not, would not be permitted to occur, and that it would not be habitable for livestock. and the like. So that would be done through a confirmation receipt to be received by the building department, as well as that the applicant provide confirmation that the electrical business has been relocated to the satisfaction of the municipality's building department as well. With regards to agency and public comments, no comments have been received at this time with regards to this proposed application. I see that Andrew Phillips is on, so if there are any detailed questions that council members may have, I'm available to take them, and Andrew may also have answers to those questions.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. If you can unshare your screen again, then I can maybe get a better handle on who's all here. Mr. Phillips, do you want to add anything at this time?
No, thank you, Your Worship, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, very good. All right, questions from council with regards to this application? Don't see any hands going up. I think you must have done a good job of explaining this situation. If there are no questions, then we do have a recommendation here. And as usual, I'll ask your permission. I won't read all the 11 conditions of this application. I'll just read the main script of it. And I'm assuming that everybody has read the conditions that were implied to this application. So the recommendation is that the Council Municipality of West Perth receives a report entitled Application for Consent to Sever, number B1022 by Hannon Holdings, Inc., affecting lands described as Lot 29, Concession 3 of the Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 6736, line 36, dated September the 6th, 2022, prepared by the consulting planners for the County of Perth for information, and that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth recommends that the County of Perth Land Division Committee approve the application for consent to sever B10/22 for lands described as Lot 29, Concession 3, Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 6736, line 36, and it's subject to the following 11 conditions. Do we have a mover and seconder for that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Trnkowski, seconded by Councillor Harold. Any further discussion? Councillor Vink.
Will this application to the Land Division Committee be approved by delegation, or will you have to see it at the committee?
That is maybe a question for Louise. It's a fairly straightforward, I believe. So I'm not sure how the planning office will deal with that. Whether we'll have it come, to a land division committee meeting or not. If there's no objections and it's a straightforward surplus farmhouse severance, then it normally would just be approved by staff. Is there a point that you're trying to make here? Okay. Sorry. Louisa, do you have any inside information with regards to this application?
Yes, through you, Mayor McKenzie. So typically, if there is no, external public opposition, or if no council opposition, typically it would go the delegated route.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we've got the recommendation. It's been duly moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, then all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. So thank you, Louisa and Andrew. Very good.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
The next application then is a zoning bylaw amendment, D14, for Bornholm Poultry Limited. And I believe, is Jerica handling this one? Or John Bice is here. He put his hand up. Okay, John, I'll turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and Council. I'll share my screen real quick. And can we see that? Perfect.
John, yep.
So as council is aware, this application came forth at the August 22nd meeting for public meeting. We're coming together here today to speak about Bornholm Poultry and the D1410 2022 application for a motion. And I'll just go over a quick summary here. So as you can see by the red star there, the location of this subject property is in the northern section of West Perth. We're west of Moncton there, and we're lot 26, concession 14 in the Logan ward, 911 number 6609, line 53. The zoning bylaw amendment is a condition of surplus farm dwelling severance, and that's B30-21. So the severed area in yellow here is to be rezoned A1, and that'll allow non-farm residential dwelling, whereas the retained area in red is proposed to be rezoned A3 to ensure no residential dwellings or mobile homes can be placed on the retained farmland. The NRE2 zone, you can't see it here, but it's outlined by the forested area in the southern section of the property. That will remain unchanged. So this is a photo of the dwelling that was dated on September 9th, 2021. And then there's an updated dwelling here dated August 15th, 2022. The CBO has deemed the dwelling habitable on October 5th, 2021. And there's just an extra photo showing the laneway, dwelling, and shed on the severed lands. So the application was circulated and notice was provided via sign on August 2nd, 2022. No comments have been received from the public, and at the August 22nd meeting, there were no comments from the public at that time as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thanks, John. Any questions from members of council with regards to this rezoning? Okay, I don't see any hands going up, so we do have a recommendation here. And the recommendation is the Council Municipality of West Perth received the report dated August the 22nd entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment number D14 submitted by Bornholm Poultry for lot 26, concession 14 of the Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 911 number 6609, line 53, and that council approved the application for zoning bylaw amendment submitted by Bornholm Poultry, lot 26, concession 14, Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 6609, 53. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Trinkowski, seconded by Councillor Bell. Any further discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. All right, the next one is a zoning bylaw amendment with regards to the Luigi severance, and I believe, John, you're doing this one as well.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie. Yes, I'll be doing this one as well, and thank you, Council. Just like the one that we just looked at, this one came for a public meeting on August 22nd, 2022, and no comments were received there by members of the public. I'll just quick share my screen. All right. So this property, it's located at part lots 11 and 12, concession 1. This is in the Hibbert ward this time, Municipality of West Perth, and the 911 number is 3984, Road 179. So again, this is a zoning bylaw amendment application, and it's for the requirements of a surplus farm dwelling severance, and that severance application number is B05-22. The area outlined in yellow will be rezoned A1 to allow a non-farm residential dwelling, and then the area outlined in red will be rezoned A3 to ensure no residential dwellings or mobile homes can be placed on the retained farmland. Site visit taken on July 21st, 2022 shows the image of the dwelling and the CBO deemed the dwelling habitable on March 23rd, 2022. So this photo is looking northeast. So again, the application was circulated and notice was provided on August 2nd, 2022. No comments were received or have been received from the public. And at the meeting on August 22nd, 2022, no comments were received by members of the public as well. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you again, John. Any questions from members of council? Don't see any hands going up. So we do have a recommendation that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth received a report dated August the 22nd entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D140822 submitted by Dave Luigi for part lots 11 and 12 concession 1 of the Hibbert Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 3984 Road 179, and that council approved the application for zoning bylaw amendment submitted by Dave Luigi, parts lot 11 and 12, concession 1, Hibbert Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 3984 Road 179. Do we have a mover and seconder for this motion? Moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Rose. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. And again, John, we have one for Brady Greb Weitzel in the borough of Russelldale, and I'll let you handle that one as well.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and council. I'll just quick share my screen again.
Don't see anything yet, John.
Okay. Sorry for some technical difficulties here. Here we go. All right.
Good.
So like the other two applications that we just mentioned, this application for zoning bylaw amendment was taken to the August 22nd, 2022 council meeting where we received no comments from the public. And then we'll just kind of go into a little bit of a summary here to just kind of get reacquainted with the application. So application number D1406-2022, location part lot 35, concession N, Thames Road. The 911 number is 2885 Martin Street in Russelldale in the Fullerton Ward. You can see by the red star, there's Russelldale, and there's where the location of the subject lands are within Russelldale. So the purpose of this zoning bylaw amendment application is for accessory building to be permitted with a maximum height of 7 meters, whereas the Hamlet Village residential zone permits only a 4.5 meter height. For the accessory building to be permitted with a maximum lot coverage of 11%, whereas the HVR zone permits 5%. So the area outlined in blue is to remain in the HVR zone, but it's going to be subject to a special provision of HVR-21, and this will allow for the increased accessory building height and lot coverage. The Perth County official plan designates the parcel as Hamlet Village Residential and Hamlet in the settlement area of Russelldale. So section 651 of the OP, or the official plan, lays out goals for development within the Hamlet Village designations in order to accommodate 2 overhead doors for the accessory dwelling, or not the accessory dwelling, but the accessory structure. Relief from the zoning bylaw section 513D will be needed to allow for the proposed height of 6.58 meters or approximately 21.5 feet. If the applications were to install a 16-foot overhead door, while at the same time meeting the 4.5 meter maximum requirement, it would result in the application or the applicant being unable to construct the accessory structure or the overhead doors. A 16-foot overhead door, the planning department is aware that it might have an industrial appeal to it, even though it is strictly for a hobby shed. But the proposed orientation of the overhead doors is to the west and to the south, and that would be towards Martin Street and the interior grass lot, as you can see through this aerial image, and screened on each corner by large trees and thick vegetation or landscaping. And this will improve the aesthetics of this structure to its surroundings. It's also understood that large trees located in the center of the proposed building location will be removed for construction, whereas the outer trees and vegetation will remain. With regard to exceeding the minimum lot area requirement, the 5% lot coverage limit is in place to ensure appropriate development on these lots. The overall lot coverage that is permitted within the HVR zone is 30%. And if the zoning bylaw amendment is approved, the total potential lot coverage then for this lot for all buildings would be approximately 14%, which falls within the limits of the zoning bylaw. So this photo is of the garage that's going to be demolished, and it is fairly adjacent, fairly close to Martin Street. And it's significantly closer to Martin Street than the proposed hobby shed. And the proposed hobby shed will be located further east, closer to the rear of the lot. This is a small shed that will be demolished. The proposed hobby shed would be located more towards the north. So these images here kind of go into a bit more of a detail as to where the proposed structure will be located on what is on the property currently. So this is the red star here would be the northwest corner of the proposed shed, and it would be looking east. As you can see, there's a lot of thick vegetation. And then this would be the northeast corner of the proposed shed, and it would be looking west towards Martin Street. Again, there's some thick vegetation. So this is the southwest corner of the proposed shed, and it's looking east towards the rear of the lot. And then this final image here is the southeast corner of the proposed shed looking west towards Martin Street. This is an image on the left here of the rear of the lot looking east. The proposed hobby shed will be located outside of the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority regulated area. And then an image on the right shows where that regulated area falls. That's everything. And if there's any other questions that I can answer, I would be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions from members of council? Okay, I don't see any hands going up for this one either. So we do have a recommendation here that the Council Municipality of West Perth, excuse me, received the report titled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14 okay, just a second. I'm going to back up one. That the Council Municipality of West Perth received the report dated August 22nd entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14-0622 submitted by Brady Greb Weitzel for part lot 35 concession North Thames Road, Fullerton Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 2885 Martin Street, Russelldale, and that council approved the application for zoning bylaw amendment submitted by Brady Greb Weitzel for part lot 35 concession North Thames Road, Fullerton Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 2885 Martin Street, Russelldale. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Matheson, seconded by Councillor Murray. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you, John. The Next zoning bylaw amendment is, I believe Jerica is going to walk us through this one, and it's with regards to Amendment D 1417. So Jerica, I will let you take the floor.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and Council. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. So similar to John's applications, this rezoning was heard at public meeting on August 22nd. It's for Nicholas and Diane Chessel in the Bornholm community. And part of what we're looking at today is to rezone a portion of the property from future development to the Hamlet Village residential. The planning department was particularly interested in what the public might have to say, just because the future development zone, as we know, is a holding zone for different possibilities for development. We received no comments from the public aside from one property owner wrote in to let us know that they supported the application. And the planning department has determined that we are going to support the Chessel's bid to rezone 8,232 square meters of the property to Hamlet Village residential. And that's for the purpose of them building a residential structure for their family to reside in. So I'm happy to answer any further questions that council may have come up with between the last 2 weeks. And yes, this is this is what we're recommending. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jerica. Any questions from members of council? Councillor Vink.
I was wondering how the planning committee worked together with the applicant to come up with the size of the proposed property at just over 2 acres, and being a green field. Was there any consideration on either side of the size?
Yeah, we had a healthy discussion with the applicant. The parcel was, so the actual lot size we came to based on where they wanted to place their residence. And something to consider with the residents, that 40-meter setback is quite significant from the highway. But if council wanted to propose that the applicants move their house forward, the applicants would have to come back to us with a revised sound study. So because of the location of Perth County Fabrication, which is a light industrial use beside the property, there was a sound study that was submitted, and the study takes into account where the applicants, like, they gave them their site plan. So the proposed area of the lot will be able to have a septic system, the 40-meter setback, and the size building. Now, they still need to get a building permit from the building department, so these plans might change. But that was kind of the idea that we came to when we were discussing to the applicant, like which part of the property we wanted to be rezoned. It is, it's not the subject of this application. And at this point in time, there would have to be a lot of things that change before this is possible, but the applicant has considered that there could potentially in the future, if access is open to line 44, like say like an access driveway or something, there could be more residential lots in behind there, if that makes sense.
Any other questions? Councillor Duck.
Thanks, Jerica. I just wanted to touch base and a refresher. Last time we were talking, I believe you had said with this structure going in there, it would limit the fabrications business abilities to expand. Can you just refresh my memory on that and maybe kind of
Yes.
what that would entail?
So whenever we have something like this come forward, so right now, the ball was in the Chessel's court to prove that the residential structure that they are proposing in the location that they want it would not have adverse effects from the nearby fabrication business. And that's because the industrial use was there first. So that's why they submitted a sound study that said, okay, if the building's located here, like they'll be able to sleep, they'll be able to enjoy their property. Now, if Perth County Fabrication, say after this is approved, comes and they're like, okay, we want to expand and put a building up over here, and it triggers a planning application in some shape or form. Because the residential structure has been established, now they have to prove compatibility. That was something that we were interested in. Perth County Fabrication was mailed a notice of this of the public meeting, and I believe the applicants did try to speak with them during the application process. It was kind of before my time, but Perth County Fabrication hasn't submitted any official correspondence to us regarding this application and did not identify concerns to us. But there is that possibility there if say they did ever want to expand over to that side a little more.
Okay, thanks, Jerica. Any other questions? Just a comment, I guess, Jerica, and you probably have maybe alluded to this before, and I forgot it, but the lot is the area that's being rezoned is fairly large. Is there a reason that the septic system couldn't go in the front? Like, I realize the setback from the highway is sound sensitive for the house, that you're not too close to the highway. Could the septic system not go in that particular spot? Or I'm assuming there's a reason that it didn't.
The applicant would prefer that the septic system go in the back. It was mentioned to them that they could potentially put in the front, and they still could potentially put it back there. The applicant is thinking that there might be some potential for, say, a small commercial lot in front of where they're putting their residence, so they didn't want to hinder the development of that portion. I'm not entirely sure. The MTO has been fairly clear so far that they are only permitting us a single residence for access at this point in time, but that was kind of the rationale of the applicant, was that they wanted the septic system in the back, and the building department wouldn't consider a split zoning for the septic system.
No, fair enough. Ryan, did you have another question? Okay, no, that's good. Okay, any other questions from members of council? Okay, thank you, Jerica. The recommendation that we have here is that the Council Municipality of West Perth receives a report titled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14 17/2021 affecting lands described as Concession 9, East Part Lot 16, Plan 479, Lot 1, known as 4816 Road 164 of the Logan Ward in the Municipality of West Perth, and that the Council Municipality of West Perth approve the application for zoning bylaw amendment D14/1721 2021 submitted by Nicholas and Diane Chessel for lands described as Concession 9, East Part of Lot 16, Plan 479, Lot 1, Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth. Do we have a mover and seconder for that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Jankowski, seconded by Councillor Rose. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Council and Mayor Mackenzie. Have a nice night, everyone.
Jerry, what did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
It happens all the time.
Did I just do it once or more than once? I apologize.
It's okay. Thank you.
All right. Our next report is from the operations manager, and it's a summary of the August and September operations report. So, Mike, if you can indulge us with your report, that would be great.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first is health and safety. We conducted our third annual or quarterly health and safety meeting just last month. The current roads projects are listed there in front of you. We are currently really heavy going on the trees and doing the tree cleanups and stumps, and we'll be concentrating on roadside grass cutting, grading, and other ditching and lot servicing patchwork for asphalt in the upcoming weeks. Tenders and contracts, Georgina Street reconstruction. The concrete curb was poured late last week, and it is moving along fairly well. And also they've started Henry Street, and they are currently completed the sanitary sewer and are currently working on the major storm sewer in that road section. Everything is anticipated to be hopefully completed by the end of this month. Structure 010F on Road 150 was completed, and it was on schedule. And also to update you on the hydro seeding on Nelson Street, that was completed back on August 16th and is performing extremely well. Is there any questions on any of the current contracts?
Any questions from anybody? Just, and you're probably maybe not able to answer this, Georgina Street, Mike, any idea when that will be paved?
So we have to wait for the concrete to cure. Then we'll be doing placement of A gravel, and then we'll be hopefully doing the restoration work on Henry Street, where they'll be doing the coming in and doing the curb, going back to Georgina Street and doing the sidewalk in both streets at the same time in late September. And as of right now, it's late September, early October is when we're hoping to get it the base coat paved.
Okay, no, fair enough. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, you have some tenders that you want to let go here?
Yeah, I'd like to inform council that I need to let dust control tender. It's been some time since we let our dust control tender out. It was a 5-year contract back in 2015 with a 3-year extension, and that extension is now expired. So we'd need to go back out to the market to see where the new prices are.
Okay, I'm going to just back up just a second here, and we'll take each one kind of separately here. So the first one is that the Council Municipality West Perth accepts the August-September operations report as presented. We'll move and seconder for that. Councillor Matheson, Councillor Murray, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. And then the next one is that we get tenders, and I don't have a okay, that's but he had asked for a tender contract for where am I?
Yeah. Oh, Mayor McKenzie, I'll just point out that Operations Manager Kramer is just still going through his operations report. So he's just on that section dealing with the dust control tender.
Okay. And I won't point out that the clerk said we had to have a separate motion. Partway through. Okay, carry on.
Okay. And then the last of the report is just a reminder of the leaf pickup. We will be starting the leaf pickup this year on October the 11th, the week of October 11th. We will really communicate our message to the residents through advertising in the paper, our website, and social media. And I'd like to really inform and make note that this year we are only going to be accepting paper bags as a means of pickup. Just so council is aware. In the past, we've allowed both paper and plastic, but I've been advised that we no longer should be accepting plastic as a means of collecting leaves. And that's all I have.
Okay, Moving on, we have approved your report. So the next item then is the winter operations plan, Mike.
Okay. So once again, in front of you, we have our winter operations plan. Hopefully you had a chance to review it. It sets out our policy and procedural framework of how we perform our winter operations throughout the municipality. I've highlighted in yellow the planning document attached to this report of all the changes and revisions that we have made. They are the following. We've updated our equipment list. We've updated our employee personnel. We've added road section 155 between line 46 and 49 due to a new house build. We've also added road section road 179 between line 19 and line 20 due to a new barn construction. And as per the request of council to back in February to revisit some of our sidewalk snow clearing due to the Henry Street Bridge going in, and that the students in the northwest section of Mitchell are now required to walk to school. We've timed out and we did a trial run of our sidewalks up in that road section, and they are heavily used by the students. So we would like to add those two road sections on Campbell Street between Wimple and Napier to clear those sidewalks, and also to add William Street between William and Napier. Those both sidewalks are currently in the 1.5 meter width distance, so they comply with what we can handle with our machine. And all the additional costs should be already included in the budget, with an additional cost of around $1,000 to sand and salt, or 100% salt for the winter season. Is there any questions on the winter operations planning document?
Questions, Councillor Pinkowski?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Council might recall there was some discussion, I think January, February, March, about Georgina Street sidewalks receiving clearing of snow clearing in the winter. And at the time, the discussion ended saying that until the Georgina Street reconstruction was completed, we wouldn't entertain the idea of clearing sidewalks. So I guess, Mike, I didn't see Georgina Street included on the sidewalk clearing program. Could you clarify that for us, please?
Yes, that is correct. It is not on the current sidewalk clearing policy. We concentrated on where the school kids were actually physically walking to school. The rest of the kids in the other sections of Mitchell, whether it's the east or the southwest, are currently bused to school. We have multiple and a lot more areas of sidewalk that is 5 feet that we could potentially clear and sidewalk snow clear. But in order for us to do that, we would require an additional piece of equipment and an additional operator to perform those services. And at this point in time, we didn't have the budget or the means to do that. So I chose, due to the reasoning I gave, because of the busing, the no busing and the bridge and the walking to school, it is quite needed in that road's subdivision, that sidewalk subdivision, and did not include Georgina Street.
Again, Councillor Pinkowski.
Okay, to follow up, Mike, if a request were to come through, I understand what you're saying about insufficient resources to add Georgina Street sidewalk onto the roster, but if a request were to come through to clear out snow for the bus stop, which I think is what started the discussion about Georgina, would we be able to handle a request to do so at Georgina or any other similar areas that are 1.5 meters wide of the sidewalk?
Yeah, Currently, all the sidewalk bus stops are being plowed going north and south. It's the sidewalks running east and west that this request came in from. So all the current bus stops are being plowed. It's just getting to the bus stops, if that makes sense.
It's my understanding, Mike, and maybe you can clarify it a bit more, but you work with the transportation department from the school boards as to where the bus stops are, do you not?
They have my current mapping, and they are fully aware of where we sidewalk snow clear, and they have been in contact with me roughly 2 months ago, asking me about the current 2 new road sections, especially with one on Road 155 with the students, the young children in the new house on that road section. So yes, they're fully aware of what roads and sidewalks we clear.
Any other questions? Okay. Anything further on the winter maintenance, Mike?
I have nothing to add, Your Worship.
Okay. Then the recommendation then that we have here is that we accept the 2022-23 winter operations plan as presented. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Rose and Councillor Matheson. Is there any further discussion with regards to this? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Usually about February or March, something happens and we have to come back and look at it again. All right, the next item then is with regards to the Connecting Link Winter Agreement. Mike?
Yeah, so once again, in front of you is the Owen Sound Highway Maintenance Limited Group has offered to look after our connecting links within Mitchell for this upcoming winter season from 2022 to 2023. And that starts in October 15th and runs till April 30th. And also, I'd just like to mention that there is a higher than normal cost increase that we normally receive, and that's primarily due to the raising costs of fuel, as everyone's fully aware of. So our increase over last year's is a total of $1,906.42 increase.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Any questions for Mike on that? I guess the question I have, is it going to come down next year or not necessarily next year, but at our next contract if diesel fuel keeps coming down?
Good question. Let's just hope that Owen Sound Highway Maintenance Group gets the upcoming area maintenance contract once it's renewed next year.
Right. Okay. Recommendation here for us is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth authorizes entering into an agreement with Owen Sound Highway Maintenance Limited for winter maintenance services within the connecting link on Highway 8 and 23 of the Mitchell Ward, Municipality of West Perth, for the 2022-23 season for $26,038.34 plus HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal all necessary documents. Moved by Councillor Vink. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Bell. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, is carried. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
The next item up then is the West Perth Consolidated Statements as of July 31st. And Wendy, if you're around, you can highlight that if you wish.
Good evening, Council and Mayor McKenzie. So in front of you is the consolidated statements as of July 31st. Not much has changed since the previous month. We are still running, showing a deficit, but that's just because of some accounting matching. So once the August property tax billing gets pushed through the system, that will change. And so I've highlighted that in the report, along with some other items that can cause during this time to show that reason. So I'll open to any questions if there are any.
Okay, thanks, Wendy. Any questions for Wendy at this time? Don't see any hands going up, so it must be good. Recommendation that we have here then is that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth accepts the West Perth budget to actuals report as of July 31st, 2022 for our information. We have a mover and seconder for that, Councillor Harold and Councillor Rose. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
So we do have a number of bylaws here. We've got 6 as a matter of fact. And they are all, I'm just having a quick look here. I believe they are all first, second, and third readings. So bylaw 55 is an amendment to the Tyndall Municipal Drain. Bylaw 56 is an amendment to the Hoff Drain. Zoning Amendment 265 is an amendment to number 100, 1998, as amended for Lot 26, Concession 14 of the Logan Ward. Zoning Amendment 266 is an amendment in place of 100, 1998, as amended for property described as lots 11 and 12, Concession 1 in the Hibbert Ward. Zoning bylaw 267 is a bylaw to amend bylaw 100, 1998, as amended for property described as part lot 35, concession North Thames Road in Fullerton Ward, known, I guess, as Russelldale that we talked about earlier. And bylaw, zoning bylaw 268, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 100, 1998, as amended for the property described as concession 9, East Part Lot 16, Plan 479, Lot 1, Logan Ward, known as 4816 Road 164. And the recommendation is that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth gives first, second, and third and final reading to bylaw 55, 56, zoning bylaw 265, zoning bylaw 266, zoning bylaw 267, and zoning bylaw 268, the 6th day of September 2022. Do we have a mover and seconder for those bylaws? Moved by Councillor Tam, seconded by Deputy Mayor Ait. Yeah, you need a long arm, Doug. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Okay, moving on. Announcements are there. Next regular meeting will be September the 19th, possibly maybe in the new building or possibly here. We're not sure yet. Then after that, our next regular meeting will be the 3rd of October. And then we get into the election on the 17th, advance poll voting, and the 24th is election day. Any notices of motion? Don't see any. Yes, okay. Other business, and I had a little note here. Thanks, Dan. That just with regards to this past weekend, there was a number of ball tournaments on, and we had a number of teams in West Perth that were very successful. The 9U Rookie D team, all Ontario, these are all Ontario champs. So there's 4 that have won all Ontario this past weekend. So as I said, the 9U Rookie D, the 15U Bantam C, the 18U Midget C, and the Senior B. All Ontario Baseball Association's OBA champions for 2022. So that's quite a feat to have that many be all Ontario champs. So we certainly want to congratulate them all on a very successful tournament weekend. Very good. Proud of you. Any other business that anybody has? Sorry, Dean, go ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate the Mitchell Agricultural Society and the community for a tremendous fair. It's fantastic.
And on that note, I meant to ask Sherry for an update. So go ahead, Sherry. No, go ahead.
That's actually all I was going to say. It was a success because of our community and our volunteers, but I'm going to say it was a roaring success, bigger than we've ever had. But as I said to many people, the community was ready. Everybody was ready, I think. But I gotta add to the baseball here. Sorry, the U17 Fullerton girls won the HP title for the first time since 2019. That Fullerton, or 2009. Sorry, pardon me. That Fullerton has won the HP girls title. So I had to throw that in there.
Very good. So I think with regards to the fair, I think they're seeing the trend that seems to be going on at all the fairs this year. Attendance is up drastically to positive effect. And I think it's direct impact of people being locked up with COVID for the last 2 years, and they want to get out and socialize again. And I know I was there certainly on the Friday night with the tractor pull, and the stands were full. And I understand the other 2 nights were very similar. Just tremendous turnout.
Yeah, even our opening ceremonies and our ambassador program had a record amount in the crowd, of which we should congratulate Emma Badley as well for being our 2000, what year is it? 22 ambassador.
Okay. Anybody else with anything? All right. Moving on then, confirmatory bylaw is bylaw number 57, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed the 6th day of September. Mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Rose, Councillor Duck, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. And finally, a motion that we adjourn at 8:07 p.m. Moved by Councillor Duck and seconded by Councillor Tam. All those in favor? That is carried. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.